you have a long history of being ahead of the curve. So there's this thing called the blockchain that you're fascinated by. What is it and why?
So the blockchain is essentially a large ledger, think of like an Excel spreadsheet or Google Docs, that's spread across a large number of servers that sustains the transactions of Bitcoins. And it's cryptographically secure. It solved what is known as a Byzantine generals problem. I won't go into explaining that. That would be a little bit too much. But the reason why the blockchain is very interesting is that it essentially creates a platform that software developers can build financial applications on top of, that's similar to the way that software developers can essentially build applications on top of the internet. It's kind of an open platform, and that the refinement of that is one of the things that I think is the most interesting thing as technology to come along, maybe since the internet first flowered.
And so is there, first of all, have you already made blockchain-related investments, and is there going to be a Google of blockchain or an Oracle of blockchain or a Microsoft?
Well, so I think I have. It's a company called Blockstream. Essentially is modifying essentially mining and wallet technology in order to enable better application development on top of the blockchain. And that will enable the possibility of creating things like a Google or an Apple or a Facebook or whatever the financial equivalents are. Now, similar to 1993, you actually wouldn't necessarily be able to predict those. Like, part of the thing that's interesting is once you unleash thousands and tens of thousands of software developers and entrepreneurs, what's most interesting is what might come out of it. If you ask people to imagine now, they would say much cheaper electronic banking systems that could be used in emerging markets, cross-border transactions, essentially cash transactions or micropayments on the internet. Those are some of the things that people are enabling could happen today. But the real, almost always the most interesting things are the things you're not thinking about when the open technology was first built.
So by focusing on this, this is something of what, a gateway thesis for you? You're looking at it, and you're going to keep looking at it, looking for the bigger thing,
yep.
even if this first company isn't that?
Yeah, I actually wrote an article for Wired UK saying that there will be a global cryptocurrency, and it'll either be Bitcoin or derived from Bitcoin.
And what's your, and are you putting a time frame on that? And what are the ramifications?
Time frames are dangerous.
So, and what are the ramifications for the global financial system? And by the way, I want to remind you that these are very big customers of Anil's.
Yeah, I understand. Although classically, one of the problems that happens is people who are trying to get attention to a technology say, well, all currencies will be replaced by Bitcoin, or all banking is going to be replaced by Bitcoin and the blockchain. That's not the case, right? We already live in a world with multiple currencies, so an additional currency is actually not, in fact, that threatening of a thing. In fact, banks, I think, will, whether it's Bitcoin and blockchain or a derivative, will adopt that as part of their services and practices. It'll just make actually part of their cost structure much lower so they can essentially participate in those. And so I think it'll transform industries, but I don't think it will essentially replace them.